It's true. You can leave your body and enter another reality altogether. Hello my loves, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Leeor Alexandra. Welcome to the Baby Elephant community. On this channel we talk about spirituality, self-development, and so much more. And today I'm going to do a part 2 to my reality shifting video. Today we're going to talk about techniques. Now I'm using the term reality shifting because that is what's been popularized on TikTok and kind of by the younger generation who's really getting into spirituality, which is really cool. So we're going to be using that term, but I do want to make a note like I did in my last video, which by the way, you should watch before this one. I'll link it down below for you for some more context. Reality shifting in this context is basically astral projection. It is leaving your body to go experience temporarily another sort of existence, another sort of reality, other dimensions, really. I think that a lot of people expected my first video on reality shifting to be like, no, this isn't true, you can't do this. But the reality of it all is that I do believe you can do it. And me, myself, I have traveled the astral realm and been in other realities myself, other dimensions myself. I have not myself visited another physical matter reality such as this one in another body, not that I'm conscious of. However, this is something that you can do and that does happen. I do believe that it does take some practice, it takes dedication, and it takes an intense interest in this topic. That is why people such as researchers and doctors such as Robert Monroe, when he did this, he made it his life and had all these studies done about it. Now we have the Monroe Institute because of that, and that was a beginning of proving that these other worlds exist. So we're going to talk about all that. I am not saying reality shifting such as the manifestation method, which is subtly shifting your reality to your desired reality. That's not actually what we're talking about here. This is closer to astral projection. The things that I named this in the other video was astral projection, lucid dreaming, shamanic journeying, visualization, shadow work, and even children's imagination games. All of these actually fall under the same realm as reality shifting. And if you're not familiar, there's this trend going around on TikTok where people are saying that they, go into this altered state of consciousness and wake up in this reality, sometimes in Hogwarts, sometimes in one of their favorite TV shows, things like that. So that's what we're talking about here today. If you want more videos on reality shifting, such as the manifestation method, where we subtly make different choices until we reach our desired reality, I can happily make a video about that. Let me know in the comments below, okay? I spent a lot of time in the last video talking about the imagination and how we have to redefine and reimagine our understanding of what the imagination is. So I want to do that one more time before we get into the techniques and my thoughts about this. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page about the imagination. We have been led to believe that anything that is imaginary means that it is not real. That's not the case. Just because something might be happening in your mind does not mean that it's not actually happening. A lot of people who experience past life regression and hypnosis and things like that always ask me, they're like, well, is it real? Is what I experienced, what I saw, is it real? Yes, absolutely. It happened in your mind and yet it is still real. So in order to understand this, we have to move away from the notion that things are only real if they're physical, right? This is the materialistic perspective of the world. If something can be measured, touched, felt, seen physically, like me, this couch, this lamp, then it's real. And if something can't be measured, if something is only subjectively real, then it must not be real. And that's just not the case, because in reality, quantum physics already shows us that our reality, each one of us, has a subjective reality that is quite separate from the objective reality, which might not even exist. Yes, that's right. Science does not know whether an objective reality exists. That is what physics is trying to explain still. So what we have to agree on is that the imagination is not imaginary, right? It is imaginary, but it is not false. The imagination is a portal to other worlds, real worlds. It's my belief, in fact, that everything that we experience in this world is a channeling of an idea or a subject from another world. So almost like there is no real originality. We are just borrowing ideas from the imagination, which has access. It's a portal to these other planets, these other worlds, these other realities, and these other dimensions. While on the plant medicine journey, I was actually shown this concept before I ever understood it. Spirits literally took me and showed me everything that comes into your physical world started in our world, and everything in our world also borrows from your world. It's kind of like a cycle. And so they showed me the concept of recycling started with them, and we took it on in our world, made it physical. They have recycling in their worlds for other things. It's very, very interesting and very esoteric. But what we have to understand is that everything that we can imagine, everything that we can visualize in our mind has to exist somewhere. Okay? That is a crazy idea. It is a broad idea, and it is something that if you want to reality shift, you kind of have to entertain the idea of. You have to entertain the idea. I'm not saying you have to believe it. You don't have to believe anything that doesn't feel right to you. But in order to do these reality shifting things, it is beneficial to entertain the idea that the imagination is a portal to other worlds. So the imagination is kind of like a space of information that's non-local, that's not in this physical matter reality, right? But it could be the origin of all things that exist in physicality. And if you want to learn more about that, I highly recommend looking into Neville Goddard's work on manifestation and spirituality. Terence McKenna's musings about the imagination, you can find a lot of them here on YouTube just by typing in Terence McKenna and imagination. It's really entertaining stuff. Also, many shamanic rituals and cultures explain the imagination to be the creative force of this universe. The imagination is God. God is the imagination. So if you can find books about shamanism, that would also help you get a little bit more of an understanding about this. Like I said, there are a few agreements that we need to agree on before using this technique. And again, it's not something that I'm trying to convince you to believe. It's just something that I am offering for you to entertain if you want to make this work, right? You should be open to the possibility of the following. 1, other dimensions exist. We know this to be true because we live in the 3rd dimension, with time being the 4th dimension, right? There are other dimensions. There are things that are 2-dimensional, 1-dimensional, and I think that science right now is at 12 dimensions, if I'm not mistaken. That number might be wrong by the time I post this video. But there are other dimensions. Other planes of realities also exist. This is contentious, right? Science and physics is always back and forth, but there are theories of like the multiverse theory or many worlds theories, and it's something that's still being postulated and that they're constantly researching. Now, if you've never been in an altered state of consciousness, even through meditation, it might be a little bit difficult to wrap your mind around this, but other states of consciousness in which you can access other dimensions exist. So when you close your eyes and access your imagination, that is an altered state of consciousness. You are accessing a portal to another dimension in that sense. The second thing that you would have to entertain is that most of these other dimensions that you can access through various means, they're not going to always feel, look, or behave physically in the way that 3D reality does. So right here in 3D reality, we have our 5 senses, and that's kind of how we navigate our reality. In other dimensions, you might have less senses and you might have more senses. You might see, but not from your eyes. I experienced that a lot in the astral realm. I see without my eyes. It's very interesting. And therefore, when you come back to this 3D reality, it might be hard to translate the experience that you had into 3-dimensional terms with the 5 senses, because suddenly you've experienced this other reality that in that reality you had other senses in that don't exist here, right? Does that make sense? And the third thing is what we were talking about earlier, which is your imagination is not what you may have been led to think that it is. It's not that you make these things up in your mind. It's that you're accessing non-local information. Your imagination, therefore, is a gateway to other dimensions. Now that we've gone over that, let's talk about some techniques to do this reality shifting or astral projection. Before we get into it, though, I want to put out my own disclaimer. When I first started opening my third eye and astral traveling, it wasn't willingly. I kept leaving my body without knowing much. I didn't have much information on it, but I couldn't help it. My container had been opened and I didn't know how to close it. That happened because of plant medicine. If you're not coming off of a plant medicine ceremony and you're just, sober, conscious here, then you should be fine. However, it's really important to take precautions before you start journeying to these other worlds. And that's why I think it's kind of important that the younger generation that listens a lot to what people do on TikTok, make sure that you do your research before doing things, because astral traveling could be potentially scary. I don't think that it necessarily could be dangerous. I think that you always have access to return back to your body. From my research and from what I've seen, we can always come back to our body. But, you're going into another world that you're completely unfamiliar with. So my big disclaimer here is to please pray and ask for protection before astral traveling. That is something that I've learned to do all the time. And then when I'm done, I close the container by thanking my guides, thanking God, thanking the universe. Like, thank you for protecting me. Thank you for that safe journey. Let's close up the energy. Done. Right? So you want to make sure, what I do is before I astral travel, before I go into the theta state and do this practice going into other worlds, I call on my angels, I call on my spirit guides, and I say, please protect me. I want a safe and fun journey. Okay? Sometimes I roll into the astral realm. Actually, more often than not, when I enter the astral realm, it's by accident. It's when I'm slipping into a nap or right after I wake up in the morning and I'm slipping back into sleep. So I kind of roll out of my body and enter the astral realm. And when that happens, when I'm not conscious and I just end up there, I often will get stuck, okay? So you're not stuck forever, you're gonna be fine. But it's literally before taken me like 2 hours to get back to my body. And what will happen is you'll have continuous false awakenings where you think you've woken up, you feel like you've woken up, but you're not back in physical reality. And I'm sure many of you guys have accidentally in the past experienced the same thing. That is when you are in your astral body. It's a very interesting phenomenon. You will always come back, don't worry. When that happens, what's natural is for panic to set in and a little bit of fear. So what we never want to do is to allow fear and panic to take over. As long as you are confident that you are safe and secure, you will always be safe and secure. So I want to remind you right now that if you ever feel like you can't go back to your body, all you have to do is take a deep breath. Remember, Leeor says, if you feel like you're stuck, take a deep breath and say, of course I can come back to my body. And you'll be back in your body. You're going to wake up. Okay? That's not going to be a false awakening. You're going to come back to your body. I've done this several times and it works. If you are experiencing lower vibrational beings or kind of scary entities when you're astral projecting, understand that these are manifestations of your own negative thoughts, your own negative behaviors. So if you do see these scary things, this is honestly an opportunity for you to confront yourself and to be brave enough to face your fears. I went through 8 months of this because I had no guidance. I didn't know what was happening to me. So I'm very glad to be able to provide that guidance to anybody who's interested in this and anybody who's accidentally doing it like I was for a long time. When those negative entities seem to be attacking you, just remember that they're just manifestations of your own negative stuff, your own gross things inside of you. It's trauma, betrayal, pain, negative self-talk, the way that you judge other people. They become manifest in things that are pretty scary to look at and that kind of attack you in this astral realm. But you are stronger than them. And I will forever be grateful for those 8 months of struggling with these things because I've never been stronger as a person. I've never been more confident as a person because I've literally faced my own demons. I fought my own demons. If you are Christian, I've heard many times that praying to Jesus, calling on Jesus, will help make them go away. But what you want to do is to face them and not run away from them and just breathe. Always return to the breath. When you return to your breath and you say, I'm safe, I'm sovereign, you will be fine. Sorry for that kind of tangent about safety. It's just I've been through all this stuff. Ultimately, you're going to be fine no matter what. You are spirit, you are eternal, and you will always come back to your physical body, and you're going to be fine. You're going to be totally fine. So it's not that crazy. I just do want to get you to think about safety whenever you're, going on a trip, or you're going scuba diving or kayaking or something. There are safety, there's rules about the trip, and this is just the rules about this journey that you're going to be taking. So what you're doing is you're either using the hypnagogic state, which is the transitional state between wakefulness and sleep. So you're awake and you're slipping into sleep, or the hypnopompic state, which is you're sleeping and you're transitioning out of sleep. And this is kind of like the theta brainwave state, right? This is the in-between state. I've spoken about this often. This in-between or twilight, dawn or dusk space is where strange mystical things happen, and that's where you access the astral realm and access these other realities. So the way that you're going to do this is late at night when you're really, really tired, you begin to count down from 100 to 1, keeping yourself awake. If you can keep your consciousness awake but your body relaxed, that's what we want. Your mind remains on, your body falls asleep so the spirit can kind of roll out. And then this is where the rollout method comes in. When you are in this space where you're no longer feeling your physical body, but you know that you're kind of in this altered state of awareness where your eyes might even be closed, but you're seeing around your room, try to roll over to your left or over to your right. If you've entered this theta brainwave state, you're not going to be moving your physical body, you're going to be moving your astral body. And when you can do that, basically this world works through desire. You desire to pop out of your body, you pop out of your body. You desire to come back, you'll come back. The same thing happens if you're using the hypnopompic state, which is, this works for me much better than before bed, because before bed I fall asleep. So what I'll do is I would wake up at like 5 a.m. I set my alarm to 5 a.m. and then I get back in bed and I count down from 100. And that's when I enter the theta brainwave state. And then I roll out of my body, or I find something to grab onto, and I literally grab on with my astral self and pull myself out of my body. What I often experience is that I'm in the astral realm, but I'm still in my room, I'm still in the same location, and I kind of just can't move. I'm just kind of experiencing looking around my room with my physical eyes closed, which is a really cool thing, and it right away shows you are more than just your physical body. I remember one time I astral projected just outside of my body, and I guess my physical eyes had opened, but I wasn't my physical eyes, and I saw my own eye. I saw my own eye. It's kind of creepy, honestly. And I popped back into my body because I'm like, I don't like this. But it's all an exploration of consciousness. It's really cool. Just look at it as cool and not scary, right? So now, to do this reality shifting method, what a lot of TikTokers have been offering is to script before bed. And this is a really cool thing that you can do. You can script about the desired reality that you want to visit right before you do this. Right before, if you wake up at 5 a.m. to do this, you write down what you want to experience, and then you go back into bed and do this method, and you can enter that realm. It's a lucid dreaming kind of realm. You're either lucid dreaming, which is you have full consciousness of your dream and you can make things happen, or you're astral projecting to another universe where you've set your intention to go to. So you could write about Hogwarts, right? You could write about wherever you Attack on Titan world, which probably don't want to go there. Where Sailor Moon? I don't know. People go all over the place on TikTok, apparently. I do believe that you're going to experience it in a very different way than you experience this physical reality. I think that anybody on TikTok who's telling you otherwise, who's telling you that you're physically fully there. I mean, I have been physically fully in parallel incarnations of my own life, and it does feel very physical there, but it's taken me a long time to get there. So it's a possibility. Let me just say that that's all a possibility. So we do experience different levels of this astral projection thing. So for example, Robert Monroe, in his book, Journeys Out of the Body, which I highly recommend if you're into this stuff, he called it different locales. So there's locale 1, 2, and 3. He experienced, I think it was called locale 3, or maybe it was locale 2. It was another physical matter world just like this one, but not this one, where he was somebody else. cars looked differently. The world looked differently. It wasn't necessarily in the past or in the future. It was as if something had subtly changed in the development of mankind, and reality just looked differently. And he was a human being, a human man, and he continuously popped into this guy's body and lived his life as him. And he would live sometimes months as this person, but he'd come back and he would still be himself in his sleep. So that's the thing that I was talking about in the other video that's important to remember. You're not going to lose any time here when you astral project to other places. You're just going, time doesn't work that way. You're just going to wake up right back in your body. No time has passed. So my recommendation with all of this is to just kind of look at it like a new frontier that you are exploring and conquering. Go with it with an open mind and high expectations and positive energy. It's really important to be very positive about this experience. If any fear comes up, explore that. This is an aspect of yourself. It's all you ultimately. I think that's enough esotericism for one day. I hope I have not lost any of you, because I know it's very out there, but I'm trying to be less scared about talking about the out there things, because I really do love talking about them. And the fact of the matter is that these things are real. I've experienced them, many other people have experienced them, and maybe now in 2021 and above and forward, we can as a society bring this to mainstream. We can start to bring our attention and focus to the fact that their consciousness continues after death. We are spiritual beings having this human experience, and there are other realms around us. There are other beings around us, and it's all us too. If you have questions about this, if you want me to keep talking about it, please let me know. I really do need the support on this video in order for me to keep talking about these subjects, because I don't want to scare anybody away. I want to make it as palatable and enjoyable and interesting as possible. So please give it a thumbs up, share it if you like it, tag me when you share it so I know that you like it, and leave a comment below. That's the only way, that kind of support, that it's a pretty easy way to support the channel, but it encourages me to continue to talk about these topics. So thank you so much for watching. I love you. I appreciate you. Happy astral traveling, reality shifting. And until my next video, as always, keep your vibrations way, way, way up.